top story at this hour is escalation in the wrestlers' protest. Emotions and drama are running high at Pauri in Haridwar. Wrestlers' bid to throw their medals in the Ganga is now on hold for now. Farmer leader Naresh Tikait has intervened and has stopped the wrestlers from intervening their medals and has promised justice in just 5 days. This comes 2 days after the wrestlers were detained, lathi-charged and decamped. They have now amped up their demand for a legal action against WFI chief Brij Bhushan Sharan Singh in the alleged sexual assault of the female wrestlers. Post the medal Visarjan, the wrestlers were planning to begin a hunger strike at the India Gate, but the Delhi police says that the permission to protest at India Gate might be denied. My colleague Karishma is joining me live from Haridwar. Well, Karishma, take us through what exactly happened over there. There seems to be a dramatic turn of events with the intervention of Naresh Tikait, who took away the medals. What is going to be the plan of action for the wrestlers from here on?
Well, yes, absolutely, Samia. There were absolute scenes here at Pauri from where I am reporting. We were here at 5:45 p.m. when the wrestlers started walking towards the ghat where they were to immerse their medals. They sat there at about 6 p.m. on the ground and did not move an inch till about 7:30 p.m., possibly waiting for all leaders or coaches to come in and stop them from doing what they were doing. They had a change of heart because when they tweeted in the afternoon, one thought that they had shown immense courage and determination to go ahead with something as unprecedented as immersing their medals. And these were not just any medals, but Commonwealth, Asian Games, and very importantly, Olympic medals as well, Samia, that they were planning to immerse in the Ganges. And now we saw that Sakshi Malik, Sangeeta, Vinesh Phogat, all sitting together at Pauri in a human chain formed by their supporting wrestlers. They cried, they were emotional, they were heartbroken because they were seeking justice against Brij Bhushan Sharan Singh, and it led to this because Brij Bhushan Sharan was attending the inauguration of the new parliament on the 28th of May, while these wrestlers were having a tussle with the Delhi police, and an FIR was also registered against them. But now what we know, the latest is that Naresh Tikait has convinced them of not immersing the medals in the holy Ganges. He's asked for 5 days. Whether Naresh Tikait can actually achieve anything in those 5 days
well,
is something
absolutely, Karishma. Like you mentioned, I will come back to you. Naresh Tikait is making a statement right now. Let's listen into what he had to say.
बड़ी शर्म की बात
बेटियों को क्या आश्वासन दिया गया आपकी तरफ से क्या आश्वासन?
कोई आश्वासन है सर, हमारी बेटियां है, हमारा परिवार है, उन्हें पूरा आश्वासन है, उनका सर हम झुकने नहीं देंगे और जहां तक भी लड़ाई होगी, चाहे हम अपने
कुछ भी कहा गया है अब तक सरकार की तरफ से कोई
नहीं, कोई नहीं आया।
और आप आज ये जैसे 12 बजे ट्वीट किया था साक्षी ने, विनेश ने, बजरंग, 6:30 बजे तक सब आ गए थे। 7 इतनी देर तक अब ये लोग यहाँ पर बैठे थे, रो रहे थे, परेशान थे। क्या किसी की तरफ से कुछ कहा गया है?
हमें नहीं पता लगा ना, हमें ट्वीट का पता
2 घंटे पहले पता लगा।
हमें तो 2 घंटे पहले पता लगा। हम तो खेत में थे, चोर साहब भी अपने काम धंधे में थे, एकदम पता लगा। या आपात स्थिति हम यहाँ से गए, मगर कोई ऐसा कदम न उठ जा। सबकी जिम्मेदारी है, इस देश को बचाने की भी सबकी जिम्मेदारी है। इन्होंने तो इस देश का नाश का ठेका ले लिया
जी। तो अब अगला कदम क्या रहेगा?
देखो ये सुलह मशवरा होगी,
क्योंकि इन लोगों ने ये भी तो कहा था कि इंडिया गेट पे आमरण अनशन करेंगे ये लोग।
भाई एक तो बताओ, हमें जिम्मेदार,
अनशन की भावना होगी तो अनशन कराया जाएगा।
सम्मानित, ये तो हमें जिम्मेदार से है, यहाँ से जो बुजुर्ग है, कोई नहीं।
बुजुर्ग क्या कह रहे हैं? बुजुर्गों की राय क्या है इस वक्त?
हमने तो यहाँ से उठाए, बच्चे आते हैं, वहाँ देखेंगे।
हमारी राय यह है, इस देश का गौरव है, इस देश की इज्जत है, मान सम्मान की बात है। अगर मान सम्मान को, ये सभी का बहु बेटी है, मान सम्मान को ठेस पहुंचेगी तो ये समाज बर्दाश्त नहीं करे। इसमें कुछ न कुछ निर्णय जो साहब लेंगे, समाज के द्वारा कल आपातकालीन बैठक बुलाई जाएगी सोरम में, उसमें जो भी निर्णय होगा वो संतोषजनक होगा। 5 दिन का समय जो साहब ने लिया उसे पूरा कराया जाएगा।
तो समाज की बैठक होगी, अब खापों की बैठक?
हाँ, बैठक होगी।
कब होगी, कहाँ पर
कल होगी? सोरम में।
बहुत धन्यवाद।
Well, that was Naresh Tikait, who took away the medals from those protesting wrestlers at Haridwar and has sought 5 days' time. Let me go back to my colleague Karishma, who continues to be with us live from Haridwar, getting us minute-to-minute update from ground zero. Well, Karishma, we did hear what Naresh Tikait had to say. What is going to be their course of action now? They did plan a fast unto death at India Gate, but we are also given to understand that they are not going to be given permissions for that.
Well, yes, they're not going to be given permission for that. The Delhi police had categorically made it clear that they will not be given permission to come anywhere near Jantar Mantar. India Gate is also very near to that, possibly Ramlila Maidan. If they do ask for permission from Delhi police, that is when they earlier came to Jantar Mantar on the 23rd of April, they came without any permission. They sat there and then the Delhi police allowed them to continue their protest for around a month. Now, of course, everything is going to be put on hold for the next 5 days that Naresh Tikait has asked for from the wrestlers, whether he's going to try and have a word with the government or with, the sports ministry officials or the Sports Authority of India officials is something that we have to wait and see. But what we can, in fact, confirm at this moment is that the wrestlers have gone back to Delhi. They had come here to immerse their medals, but they've gone back without doing that. They have been convinced by the farmer leaders. There had been a lot of allegations on these wrestlers of making the protest political, giving it a platform to political parties to come and, have their say from their platform. But this is something that has been vehemently denied by the wrestlers, saying that we did not want any of this. We were of the opinion that if the political parties, political leaders can celebrate us when we win medals, then why not let them be a part of us when we are disappointed in the system? And that is why they had allowed the political parties. It has now reached a level where the farmer leaders are involved to an extent, Samia, that these wrestlers are hugely dependent on them for them to take important decisions for them. Yesterday also, when they were in meetings back to back, they were having meetings with Khap Panchayats and the farmer leader organizations to understand what is it possibly that they can do next. They came up with the decision of immersing their medals in the Holy Ganges, but now that has been put on hold for 5 days. Now we'll have to wait and see what exactly happens
Absolutely,
after 5 days.
Karishma.
Do they
Thank
come
you
back
for
to,
joining us with all those
Haridwar, or do
details
they,
from ground
do
zero
that
at
fast unto
Haridwar.
death?
We shall leave it at that for the moment. We'll come back to you for more on the story. But right now, I'm joined by our guest at this evening. I'm joined by Mr. Kirti Azaad, who's a former cricketer and now a TMC leader. Mr. Azaad, thank you for taking our time and joining us here at the Urban Debate. What visuals that we are putting out on our screens are absolutely shocking. This is a desperate bid by the wrestlers to take their medals at Pauri in Haridwar in a bid to immerse them, to draw the attention of the government. But they were stopped by Naresh Tikait, and they have taken away the medals from these wrestlers and sought 5 days' time. When you see those visuals on your screen, Mr. Azaad, what is the first thought that comes to your mind?
And bad. And I am with the wrestlers because there is also a minor who has alleged regarding being molested by the gentleman, Mr. Brij Bhushan Sharan Singh. And I personally feel that they should get justice immediately. And if you remember Nirbhaya, after Nirbhaya case, the POCSO Act came in. And once there is a complaint, you have to do immediate arrest. I fail to understand why has it happened that he's not been arrested. It's almost a month now. So I feel for them. I feel I'm fully empathizing with them, and I am with them and their cause.
Mr. Azaad, you yourself have been a cricketer. What was your first thoughts when you saw that these wrestlers were evicted in the most unceremonious manner on Sunday by the Delhi police? And that is perhaps something, the pictures have stayed with the people, both from the political circuits and from the sports fraternity.
That's inhuman. You don't expect this. They were sitting there protesting silently. They just silently were walking towards the parliament. And the way they were treated was absolutely inhuman. And I detest that completely. I feel that a little more human angle should have been used on that. But unfortunately, as we all know, the government has turned a blind eye towards the sports persons. I remember in 2014, when the Modi government was not in power and they were campaigning, they would say, "Bahut hua mahilaon pe atyachar, ab ki baar Modi sarkar." And unfortunately, that atyachar continues and nothing is happening. I remember Brij Bhushan Sharan Singh saying that if Narendra Modi, Amit Shah, or JP Nadda asks him to resign, he would resign. But unfortunately, none of them have asked him to resign. And if this is the plight of the woman, I can understand how they must be feeling.
But Mr. Azad, now there is a section that feels that this entire protest by the wrestlers was staged. This was only optics when they decided to take the medals. And just in time appears Naresh Tikait to take away the medals from them. How do you see this entire turn of events? But do you feel that the government, the system has let down these wrestlers?
Yes, they have completely. Forget whether they put the medals in the Ganges or not. That's not the point. The point is, what is the base matter? It is that they have said, and not one, there are I think 7 or 8 wrestlers who've been molested and have been misused, abused, and used by this Brij Bhushan Sharan Singh. So that's the matter, and that matter should have immediately taken cognizance of, and the POSCO, the police took more than a month to register a case till the Supreme Court intervened in the matter and asked them to register a case. They went again that charge sheet should be done, but then their plea was only that the FIR should be registered. They have been registered, and that also in POSCO Act. Once it's in POSCO Act, immediate arrest has to take place. That unfortunately has not taken.
But do you feel that this entire matter should be limited to just the sports fraternity, the wrestlers alone, and it shouldn't be politicized? Because there are several political party leaders who showed up at Jantar Mantar to render their support, and that is exactly what the government was maintaining, that it looks like that there is a larger, a thought behind this entire agitation, that there are certain forces that is steering this entire wrestlers' protest.
Before being a politician, you're a human being, and you all sit with people, whether in their happiness or their sadness, and you basically do that, is to see to it that you are there, you are a nation, you're one person. And even if it is politicized, what is wrong with it? If the politicians, if the government is doing nothing about it, when you have a politician involved who has been accused of molesting and misbehaving with women, and he belongs to the ruling government, then why shouldn't the politicians come in? What is wrong with it? Then media shouldn't come in it. Why should media come into it? I mean, this basically, people come there and come in support. And if the matter is something which people think is not correct, then might as well the government take immediate action on it.
But Mr. Azad, now the wrestlers, they wanted to sit on a fast unto death at India Gate, but they've been told that that's not going to be allowed. They're not going to be allowed to return to Jantar Mantar also to resume their protest. What options would lie with the wrestlers but fall in line with the rules of the government per se? Because the government has decided that they are no longer going to do any outreach because the investigation is already underway.
Which investigation? Where is the investigation? Why hasn't the rules of the laws of the land been followed? Why hasn't he been arrested when POSCO Act has been put on him? There is a POSCO, and POSCO Act was after Nirbhaya. The Nirbhaya, remember that dastardly act that happened against her, who died. And so hence, once you see that the police is not allowing them to sit at Jantar Mantar, the police will not allow them at India Gate. Who is governing the police? The central government. Under whom is the police? The central government. And once they're not allowed, that means that the government doesn't want to, because they feel they will lose politically. They have a lot to lose in UP. Hence, they will play with the izzat of women.
My last question to you, Mr. Azad, is essentially, we often encourage women and young girls to come into sports, that sports is not just a boys' domain. But after this entire episode, do you think that women parents are going to have second thoughts, not only about the issues and the cases that they went through as far as sexual harassment is concerned, but the treatment of the athletes who have brought laurels to the country?
Well, I hope that the parents don't stop their children to participate into sport or any other extracurricular activities, because you have a dirty fish in every pond, and you've got to remove that fish immediately so that you give a good, right message to the people of the country.
Well, thank you so much, Mr. Azad, for taking our
Thank
time
you.
and joining us here at the Urban Debate at Mirror Now. You made some very pertinent points over there. We leave it at that for the moment. I'm also joined by Mr. Nikhil Sharma, who is the sports commentator and author. Mr. Sharma, thank you for taking our time and joining us here. I'm also joined by Mr. Bajaj over here, Ranjit Bajaj, who has been an under-19 sports person as well, being a footballer. Thank you so much and a very good evening to both of you. We did see the dramatic turn of events where these wrestlers were present over there at Pauri in Haridwar. But then, of course, Naresh Tikait shows up over there. He takes away the medal from them and has sought 5 days' time. Now, there is a section that feels that this entire episode was staged, that, this was all done for optics. But the fact remains that there was no outreach from the government's end. What is then the future of such an agitation by the wrestlers? To you, Mr. Nikhil Sharma, please go ahead with your thoughts.
Well, Samia, I think the base matter of fact remains the fact that, what has this come to, that the wrestlers are in Haridwar to immerse their medals. That's extremely disheartening, discerning as well. And I do believe that irrespective of what the outcome would have been, the government, the sports ministry could have had some channel of mediation, some channel of communication that, the wrestlers could have also kind of felt that their demands and, are being looked into it in a fair manner. I think the reason that this has come to the current state as it is today is the fact that they have no confidence in what is happening. And that, is at some point, I believe that, a mediation to appoint people that both parties would have been okay with. That's something that, the government, the sports ministry has missed out. At the end of the day, these are the sports people who've brought laurels to the country. And if they've had to take this extreme a step, it's not the first time that this was going to happen in the world. Muhammad Ali has previously immersed his 1960 Olympic gold medal, in the River Louis, I think. So, River Ohio, in fact. And this would have set a very extreme example for all the other athletes if it had happened. So I do feel that it's extremely unfortunate, and I hope from here on something gives way, and there's mediation, there is conversation, there's communication between the two parties to set things right, whichever way it may be. Samia?
Absolutely, Mr. Sharma. You've put this out very succinctly. Let me take that question across to Mr. Bajaj, who I was in conversation with earlier as well. Mr. Bajaj, thank you for taking our time and joining us again. From what we were discussing earlier to what has happened right now, there seems to be a stalemate of sorts because the wrestlers have decided to return to Delhi. They do not really have their plan chalked out. It's because the Delhi police has made it amply clear that they won't be allowed to sit on a fast unto death at India Gate. So there is no real plan in place for these wrestlers. But the fact that the government has not made an outreach, that itself says a lot.
Thank you so much, first of all, again, for having me, Samia. And great hi to the other panelists who I know very well, Nikhil. I see people have to understand that people are getting into the wrong debate. They, like my friend Nikhil also said, that there's a stalemate. See, people actually start thinking that it's the wrestlers versus the government, or it's these particular wrestlers versus the government. No, it's not. These wrestlers are not fighting for themselves. Why I would say that is because they have nothing left to prove. See, if there was a wrestler who was trying to get famous by doing this, or trying to get into politics by doing this, or he was going to get some kind of mileage out of this, he's not. These wrestlers who've achieved so much, they have nothing left to prove to anyone. They are doing this for the future generations because they can see that if this can happen to them, this can definitely happen and is happening and will keep happening if they don't raise their voice. And so it's great on them that they're raising their voice. They are not letting the other sports people down. If a sports administrator who has been a sportsman himself, like I have, or a great eminent sports person. For example, I will give you the example of Abhinav Bindra. He's the first one who tweets out and supports these wrestlers. Guess who else did it? Neeraj Chopra. Guess who else did it? Anil Kumble. And they don't say, this party is wrong or that party is wrong. Like Nikhil said right now, there has to be a better way. And trust me, if the government wants, there has to be a better way found. They will find a better way. What the world, and especially us as Indians and proud Indians, and who made us proud? These guys. We don't want to see the ones who made us proud, and one day we cried a tear of joy. Now we are crying tears of pain and sorrow for them. We will always be supporting our heroes and athletes. There has to be a way out of this. And I'm so glad that Mr. Naresh Tikait stopped them, because, it's not like Mr. Brij Bhushan says, 15 rupees ka medal. That is just shows the thinking of that gentleman, because that's probably what he's trying to say is the cost of the medal is that. The cost of that medal is not only the thousands of hours, years of hard work, blood, sweat, and sacrifices put in by the athlete, but everybody around him. The coaches, the physios, the sports scientists, the dietitian, the sports massage guy, the analyst, everybody is putting their thing in. So when you say it's 15 rupees, that's what you're calling the entire sports fraternity, that we are fighting for 15 rupees. So, and being a head of a sports federation saying that is horrible. That itself shows that the kind of people who are at the helm of affairs in most of our federations do not know what real sports is all about. Because a real sports person could have never said that, put a value of 15 or even 15,000 or 15 lakhs. What we need now is the government to do some serious introspection and make sure that they reach out to them in whatever way possible, and make sure that what are they? See, their demands are very simple. Their demands are that this person should be arrested. Why? Not because the wrestlers are saying it, because our law says it. Our law under POCSO says the arrest has to happen, then the investigation. And it's been over a month to file an FIR. Supreme Court had to intervene to get an FIR. FIR is the right of every citizen. Forget about being molested or being sexually harassed. FIR is first information report. Anyone can go file an FIR. So for that just shows that even great sports people like him, who achieved so much, are being let down by the system. The system needs an overhaul. There needs to be mechanisms in the system which ensure that this kind of a thing does not happen ever again. Because if this happens and this keeps happening like we keep on seeing, trust me, it cannot be hidden. And it will force. Now India is on the verge of becoming a major sports powerhouse in the world. We are now winning Olympic medals. If we want to win more of them, we need to stop this. Samia.
Well, that's a very emotional pitch that you make over there, Mr. Bajaj, and I completely agree with you. Let me take that question across to Mr. Sharma as well. I'm going to quote what Anil Kumble has said in his tweet. He says that he's dismayed to hear about what transpired on the 28th of May. Without our wrestlers being manhandled, anything can be resolved through the proper dialogue, hoping for a resolution at the earliest. But there seems to be no channel of a dialogue that the government has put forth to try and mediate with these wrestlers. Now, there is also questions being raised as to why this entire agitation is spearheaded by just the Haryana wrestlers alone. Why don't we see wrestlers from the other parts of the country coming in solidarity with them? There are questions being raised on the very intent of this sort of a protest that is being spearheaded by Sakshi Malik, by Bajrang Punia, by Vinesh Phogat, all of those who are of certain international and national repute. Their intention is under question. Do you think that these are unprecedented times and these questions, therefore, should be quelled?
Well, firstly, Samia, as far as sport is concerned, and sport very closely mirrors the society, at the absolute center of sport and society are athletes. So their status, especially status of Olympic medalists, cannot be questioned in terms of them as athletes, them as people, and their standing in sports and society. So whether they're from Haryana, whether they're, which is of course a very, very strong wrestling belt, whether there is a political angle to the whole thing, my guess is as good as yours or anybody else's. Maybe there is, maybe there isn't. We don't know. The wrestlers have time and again said that we don't want any political angle to it. We have certain aspects, we have certain complaints. We've put together, certain facts in front of everybody to have a look. Please take action. Of course, some of those have been taken. When they started off, they wanted the resignation. There was a committee that was set up. Funnily, it was called the Oversight Committee. That name itself doesn't sound very appealing. However, that being said, even if you question their intent, even if you question the fact that why are these only the Haryana wrestlers? Is there a Haryana lobby behind it? Why are the Cup getting involved? Why is the Kisan Union getting involved? Irrespective of whatever questions that we have, as people, as society, as the government and the sports ministry, it is imperative for us, even if we believe we have the higher moral ground, to have a look at what the athletes are saying. What are their demands? Is there, they seem very, very valid demands. Sport has to be safe. Sport has to be safe for women. Sport has to be safe for future generations. All three of these athletes are, the face of the campaign. Their careers are far from over as well. So it's important for us to kind of, as sports society, as the government, to give them a fair hearing, make them believe in the country, the constitution, the justice system, and the government as well. And the good way of doing that is to mediate, to converse, to let them know that, irrespective of who the person is they're up against, everybody will get a fair hearing and we will sort this issue out. That message needs to be underlined. The sports has to be, the sporting ecosystem has to be cleared of something which is as grave, an accusation as they've made. And it's important for them to, imagine the plight of millions of Indians if our athletes are down, trying to immerse their medals. There can never be anything bigger of importance. It's not just, a medal, whether it's bronze or gold or whatever it is. That doesn't matter. It's just the amount of effort it takes to win an Olympic medal. A normal human being would never understand. It takes elite mentality, elite work, years and years, and yet you will never win. And these guys have done it. So it's important that we pay cognizance to what they're saying and make sure that there's communication, there's mediation, and the fact that they believe in the system that this great country has. Samia?
Absolutely, Mr. Sharma. My last question to you, Mr. Ranjit Bajaj. You've been a football player yourself. When we see these wrestlers sitting on a dharna, sitting on a protest, waiting for justice, for days on end, they're missing out on their practice. Their food intake, their nutrition is all impacted. Where they should have been training themselves to appear for perhaps the next championship, they are fighting for their rights over here as an Indian citizen, as a woman seeking justice against the sexual harassment that they claim was done to them. Do you think in the process, India loses out at an international forum? Mr. Bajaj, you'll have to mute yourself. We can't hear what you were saying.
Yeah, Samia, so sorry. See, it's not like a car. You put petrol in the car and the car will start running, because even if you haven't used it for 1 month. These athletes have a very precision-based diet, nutrition, recovery. Recovery means even their sleeping habits are monitored to the last hilt, because we're talking about Olympic-level athletes. Any kind of a break in the middle sets them back not months, but years. That means if they have one cheat, so they're allowed to have one Olympic athletes, one cheat day in every 30 days. They've actually had now over a period of 30, 60 cheat days. That means where nothing has been regulated from the exercise to everything else. I guarantee you India has lost out on Olympic medals because of this. Even though the Olympics is very far away, this break is going to cost us, because our best medal prospects in women's and men's wrestling are the ones leading this protest, and they have not been training for the last 3 months, 4 months, 5 months. And it's going to affect us right now immediately. So, and not only that, it's going to take it's a domino effect. So like Mr. Earlier, Vinesh Phogat's father was there saying that, a lot of girls in his academy have left. It's not only there, all over India. I'm talking to coaches, football coaches.
It's bound to have an impact on many of those athletes, perhaps, who are waiting in line to be able to make the cut and make India proud. They're all going to be having second thoughts now. And like I mentioned, at the global championships, it's going to be India that will be losing out. Thank you so much, Mr. Ranjit Bajaj and Nikhil Sharma, for joining us here and sharing your views on the subject that we were tracking throughout the day. And we will continue to do that, getting you all the latest updates from Ground Zero. And we shift our focus